instantly take away Imp's Kalista.
Imp's Kalista has been so impressive. It started 0-3. I was calling questions that they kept picking Kalista right at the introduction of the champion and just didn't find success on it. But from a 0-3 start, 7-4 on that champion, so a 7-1 run in the last 8 picks of Kalista. Imp has shown a lot of prowess, and honestly, Deft has been very unconvincing on the Kalista. He's still able to draw an Urgot ban, which for him is a bit of a bonus. Hasn't played a lot of the champion, but always been a favored hover, but enough to draw a ban.
Yeah, threatens with the champion, will be banned out by LGD. Kassadin banned by EDG as well, so you can see both teams, as expected, have done their homework, and Pawn still drawing their respect ban on the LeBlanc.
So the LeBlanc is banned away. EDG are either going to pick or ban away the Orianna. Either they have a plan for it, they are not looking to donate it over. That much I can tell you for sure.
Yeah, and we can see what the picks do come through. Now, again, LeBlanc, the only assassin that's really been left, I feel like, on a meta full of sustained damage mid laners and Cinderhulk junglers, but still a popular pick. It's a massive Pawn champion for him, and you can see already the mid laners getting banned away, but Gragas actually a pick away there, banned out from TBQ.
He hasn't played a lot of the Gragas. Only 2 games on the Gragas, 2-0, has an infinite KDA because he actually hasn't died for, I believe, 19 or 20 kill involvements. But it's just another one of the very strong champions this patch, and that's the 9th ban in a row for Annie against Meiko.
Yep, the Annie goes down again as Meiko apparently never going to see the champion again. Maybe next split Meiko, as Nunu's going to be the lock-in there for Clearlove.
And you have to think Nunu Jinx, that's always been the story for EDG. They've run Jinx 8 times for 8 victories. 5 of those 8 games they've got the Nunu, and it's always been about the Nunu Jinx. Just walk around in the mid-game, acquire free turrets, because how can you deal with the machine gun, minigun form with the Blood Boy?
Yeah, Deft is undefeated on the champion, I believe, as well in competitive play. Yeah, all time, and LGD might just have to take it away. Imp has 1 win recently, I believe, in the LPL. He's played it at least once, but it's not a champion he's known for, and LGD going to line up their first few picks here. The Hecarim's wide open as well, but they might have to take something else away from Koro. We'll give LGD a couple more seconds, and they lock him in. No! Switch at the last second. Hecarim Jinx for LGD.
It makes a lot more sense to lock in the Hecarim, given that his Gnar record's only 2-2. He's looked unconvincing on that champion. Honestly, Flame is actually the Gnar player on this LGD lineup, 3-0 with a 12 KDA. He's just flashing the Gnar to say, yep, we know you're going to play Gnar. We know you're undefeated on Gnar, and we're still going to opt into the matchup.
It's a matchup that Koro likes as well. You have to think the undefeated Gnar, hard to get away from here as Pawn flashes a couple of his favorite champions as he is wont to do, but EDG, what do they do now? We've seen the Nunu ban as a blocker pick to this Jinx comp here, but Def going to have to play something else. EDG, I imagine the Gnar's coming through here for Koro. That would make a lot of sense, but what does Pawn want to play today? He likes to mix it up, but they're going to give a support pick there instead. It is Gnar and Nautilus.
I mean, my suspicious feeling, pastry time, is that we're going to see an Azir pickup come through from EDG to give a bit of synergy between the Nunu and the Azir, which honestly is the strongest Blood Boil target that you see coming through from the mid lane. If that leaves the last pick, Azir versus Orianna could be our eventual mid lane matchup. Pawn hasn't played a lot of the Azir, but is obviously very comfortable on that champion. But as of now, when it comes to champions that Deft plays that really synergize with the Blood Boil, I mean, Kog'Maw jumps out, but not really a Kog'Maw comp.
No, I mean, they've played a bit of Kog'Maw to decent success, but risky here potentially is LDG all in on protecting this Jinx. Sejuani goes in for the second rotation on LGD side, and Janna's there as well.
It's a bit of a scattered identity, though. Obviously, Sejuani and Hecarim looking for ranged initiate. The peel coming through for Jinx. It's calling out for a Kog'Maw, but it'll be a very risky Kog'Maw comp coming through from EDG. Lulu is available, though. Pawn has played 5 games of Lulu for 5 victories. So there is still the potential of going for the Protect the Kog, but it's slightly different in terms of the kind of look that we're seeing.
Yeah, and EDG, considering their last few options here, to see what they want to go for. They lock in the Kog'Maw. They're going to give it over to Deft, and Lulu comes in there as well as Pawn's champion, and like you mentioned, one of his most played.
Exactly. 5-0 on that champion, 33.5 KDA. Even though you think of Pawn for his Kassadin, for his more aggressive mages, they've played this Protect the Kog'Maw comp so many times to varying degrees. Sometimes it's full Juggernaut, sometimes it's just multiple peeling threats. They had the Jinx banned away, so it makes sense to move over to the Kog'Maw, another great user of the Blood Boil, and look for the lane control mid, but this is 5th pick. You knew Orianna would be locked in the moment you took Lulu, so they're picking Lulu for comp, and that gives GODV Ori.
I thought they were going to pick it earlier because it was open wide there, ready. It fits in perfectly for the composition, helps to protect Imp, gives another threat over to LGD's side, and you look down at both these comps and you have to say, might have been a blind pick game. Both these teams fairly happy with their compositions.
They're really, really scary teams for both sides. On the LGD side, huge amounts of engage with only the Janna to peel for the Jinx. The first kill comes through, though. She gets that high type of mobility is suddenly going to be super hard to track down. EDG's team, even though they have a Gnar, they're looking to play defensively. Honestly, they're looking to kite back with this Kog'Maw.
Yeah, lots of team fighters are going to go through the matchups. Koro on the Gnar versus Acorn's Hecarim, and Clearlove on the Nunu versus Sejuani from TBQ.
Yeah, junglers with very different identities. More of a fighter, scrapper, very good at holding down those neutrals is Nunu. Sejuani just looking to farm up for 6.
Lots of farming in the mid lane, though. Lulu versus Orianna as Pawn takes on GODV there in the mid lane. And swapping to the AD carries again. Lots of late game. Kog'Maw versus Jinx as Deft takes on him.
I mean, Deft's 4-1, but has been very impressive on the comp. It's another comp that EDG play very confidently in the support role. It's all about the Nautilus.
Yeah, I mean, Nautilus has been great for Meiko. Does favor aggressive champions despite having a fantastic record on Janna as well. And game 1 already, both teams seem to get what they want. Very excited to see how it breaks out.
Just really interesting. You feel like LGD has more engage options for sure, obviously with the likes of Orianna, Sejuani, and Hecarim. Both teams have a lot of appeal for their AD carry. I mean, even Orianna, given how good GODV's been, gonna get that big stack of AP, gonna have the big shields to come through. Janna gonna throw the Eye of the Storm already. Double shields means a fairly safe Jinx. If she gets the reset on that Get Excited and can open up positioning, and they just get a tank line that can actually deal with Kog'Maw's damage, I feel like they could win this game here, LGD. I really like the draft they put together, but EDG, they're all about neutral control.
I mean, you have to think, yeah, it's kind of on Clearlove here on this Nunu, this famous Nunu.
I mean, this Nunu's been excellent. We talked about the KDA and the win rate. We've just seen Nunu's fire to deceive. It hasn't been Clearlove, though, who's been wonderful on this champion. But you have to use the Lulu's very early power spike to your advantage. Control those objectives with the likes of the Consume Smite. You don't have a Teleport Smite top laner for once. So Gnar going to have the natural laning advantage against Hecarim. I don't know whether he's going to be doing a lot of counter jungler, but he needs to get in the face and unsettle TBQ and what will be unfamiliar territory. Clearlove, 22nd LAN win if they take it here. It's had such a big season, and TBQ, it's all new to him.
What kind of start are we going to get off to? We're about to start game number 1. And welcome on to the Rift as we jump in for the level 1 of our first game of our best of 5 between Edward Gaming and LGD. A best of 5 grand final here, and this is it. The spring LPL title is about to be decided.
Yeah, within the course of these next 5 games, we will decide the last team to go to the mid-season invitational. So many great names like the likes of Team Solo Mid to be decided. Actually, I tell a lie, of course, Korea have their finals in a week, so the second last team, with the one just being anointed last night in the international wildcard, as Besiktas joins all those top teams at that event.
Congratulations there, but you're right. It's not just a domestic title here for a lot of these players. It's not just a first major win for the LPL or another win if you're Clearlove. It's another invitation to a big international event. So everything is on the line here for game 1. And we've started out with not quite standard lanes here. A lane swap initiated by EDG.
So EDG have really been opting into the lane
swap. LGD, that's Imps Jinx, not Devs.
Absolutely, yes. It's the red side that's gone to top. So they've initiated the lane swap, looking to avoid, I guess, the potential of the level 2 coming through from EDG, or just looking for the jungle fall. Of course, they've got the teleport smite, leaving this Hecarim unaccountable to enter the jungle, use his smite to pick up extra camps, means he's going to have more experience, get to that first item earlier. Honestly, the only way to counter this particular strategy is to fast push, and I'm not sure if Deft and Meiko are confident to do that.
I mean, maybe not with these champions as well. It's a little bit awkward. So an isolated mid lane's just farming what should be mostly a farm festival. Pawn will try and get an edge if he can. And this is perfect for LGD. We didn't hit on it yet, but LGD are a team that have looked excellent in lane swaps. Imp seems to excel in the situations where he can get ahead early, and TBQ especially loves when he can just sort of farm passively.
Exactly, especially on a champion like Sejuani, having someone next to you when you have to deal with the threat of the Nunu invade, this just gives you that much more security. It makes your jungle route that much more predictable, and freeing up PYL, something you didn't mention there. PYL and his aggressive roams for vision opens up so much of LGD's rotational play. They've got perhaps the greatest rotational top laner of all time in Acorn, who was always known for that ability on Samsung Blue. If you always get those aggressive flank wards in, you're going to be able to get the teleporter. You're going to be able to get the engages you want. The flank engages from Hecarim are one of the best ways to deal with the Kog'Maw coming out of EDG.
Yeah, and that's maybe just the cherry on top of the composition here for LGD's team, to be honest. It's Acorn, not just good as a rotational player, excellent with low resources as well, was, you know, maybe the world's most classic Rumble player as well. So EDG, don't get me wrong, they're great in a lane swap as well, but LGD, it just fits their style so well.
And that's the thing, you finally see Hecarim entering lane, but he already has a CS advantage against the Gnar, has more experience as well, being able to pick up comps. Koro has finally navigated towards this dragon. that honestly EDG should have had for free, because of course they've been jungling on this bottom side of the map, but it looks like it's going to be contested.
Smart rotation from LGD to try and contest the dragon, and instead we have a gank lined up in the mid lane there. Slow coming through for Pon. Clearlove forced to flash away. The Polymorph fits in as well, but GODV doesn't even burn the flash.
Yeah, Clearlove burns the flash and can't even get a trade from GODV. Honestly, it looked very optimistic coming through from the Nunu. Maybe they were hoping to blow a flash and then open up a more easily uncontested dragon, because it's so risky for a champion like Orianna, so positionally based, to come and contest for dragon without the flash, but no dice.
Yeah, Korra going to teleport to the top side as well, but Imp has left that lane very far back in the top side, so I don't know if Korra can break this freeze even in mini-nerf form.
No, there's not much he can do, unfortunately. That's Imp's strength. You mentioned it already. They're so good at freezing waves at LGD. There's so many mini mechanics when it comes to just judging how aggressively do I need to freeze. Where does the first freeze occur? And it just feels like LGD have completely mastered them. And again, they have the brains trust of the likes of Acorn and Imp, you'd have to think, who are both on different Samsung sides, veterans of this maneuver.
Oh, here we are going to get grabbed there, actually, as Deft comes in for a bit of damage, but it's just poke there. The Kog'Maw doing well on CS. That's the best news here for EDG so far, but look at Imp, just keeping this wave as far back as he possibly can.
In the mid lane, blind picked the Lulu, not really getting the lane control over Orianna. That honestly is very difficult to do. To actually win this laning matchup outright, you need things like that Nunu gang to really connect. If it's just wave clear wars, okay, we're going to see a whimsied up, very strong Deft in team fights, but the Shockwave and GODV undefeated on this Orianna. In a 24-20 season, to be undefeated on a champion is a really big deal.
I mean, I have news for you, Papa Smithy. Someone's undefeated streak is going to be broken this game, because GODV's got his undefeated Orianna and Korra has his undefeated Gnar. So at least in game one, somebody's streak is finally going to come to an end.
What more a time than this grand final for great streaks, like the 18-0 streak for Korra to end. Gnar is the pick that screams out. You either go for the Shyvana to have your own teleport smite, or you go for the Gnar. In this case, going for the team comp, Gnar is going to be used defensively, you have to think. They don't have really any engage, barring a huge ultimate from Meiko, but honestly, that's going to lead to a defensive flash or kiting back from LGD. So a lot of defensive play requires you to get an objective lead. Is it going to be the turret snowball? You'd think they're opting into the dragon control with the likes of Nunu, but the early dragon that's almost granted by going for the top side lane swap and opening up a free early dragon for EDG was countered by their early rotation.
It was, yeah. And I think the scaling's fairly comparable in these team comps, but the way they play when they get to the mid and late game, like you've highlighted, is the big thing here. It's proactivity for LGD once they get their ultimates, and a lot of reactivity from EDG. And to be fair, they've had a lot more slower games in their playoffs, to be honest. They've really, especially in the series against IG, they just sort of let the game happen and eventually took over at the midpoint. But I don't know if you can afford to do that against a team like LGD.
I mean, both comps have an AD carry who wants to kite back, pick up the first kill, then look to go aggressive. But honestly, LGD have the flexible options. Like you mentioned, they have Sejuani ult, already a massively strong ranged initiate tool. They have the Hecarim flank and just the Hecarim ult and Onslaught of Shadows. There's nothing like that on EDG's side, barring the most crisp Gnar ultimate that, again, should never be afforded, because he's basically a solo frontline, except for Nunu sauntering in and hoping to get people with the Ice Blast.
I mean, they can kind of rush Korra in there with the Whimsy and the Blood Boil, but I agree here. And
there's better uses of those cooldowns. They have to be saved for death.
I agree. And it's funny, because I mentioned about 2 weeks into this season, do not give Korra Gnar was my proclamation 2 weeks in, and LGD might be able to make me eat those words in this game.
I mean, these teams have done so much prep. They understood almost pick for pick what will be picked. If you look at these picks, there's no real sideways question marks. There's no Anivias. There's no champions that are out of the meta for these teams. These are very prototypical team comps. We haven't seen this particular Protect the Kog'Maw comp from EDG since about week 6 or 7, but honestly, they were nailed on to be first place from about that time. So their incentive to show new things was not really there. We know they play Nunu. We know they play Kog'Maw. They would have taken Jinx if that was available. They've got close to the champions they want in every role.
That's a smart thing for me, is Imp, maybe adapting a bit, playing a bit more Jinx. And honestly, we know what Imp's like, showing up Deft a little bit here, saying, I got you, Jinx. What are you going to do about it?
It's definitely a different look for Imp, who's always in the past been that skilled AD carry, looking for the outplays, picking the twitch and getting in your face with the ambush. But this season, he's been on basically Sivir duty. He's definitely been the team fighting AD carry with that team fight ultimate. Suddenly going back to a selfish carry that requires kiting and just basically holding the hands of multiple teammates. That's already a shift for LGD.
I can tell you right now, though, it's been a bit quiet about 9 minutes into this game as Pon will pick up blue. When Imp gets that first kill, that aggression that we know from Worlds will be right back.
And again, you need to get items on your front line. Because you've been in a lane swap, Gnar's going to be held back. Suddenly, the Randuins, which you have to think is opting into, will be delayed. In the terms of the sheer laning matchup, because they're equal in level, Acorn's going to have to respect him in a 1v1, but still, he has to get back to this CS disadvantage, this hole he's been in, because of the fact that Acorn got the free opportunity to jungle with Smite.
And you can see he's trying it as well. Double Doran's Blade actually for Koro, possibly even looking for a Phage to try and get back ahead in the lane matchup after the early swap. But LGD have navigated this first 9 minutes wonderfully, and that's what we've expected from them ever since they started lane swapping.
Speaking of Phage, we see that already being completed for Deft. It's the more defensive option. Honestly, if he's feeling confident in laning matchups, he's happy to build, say, the Ruby Crystal and the Longsword, and then just straight up buy a Sheen just for the extra power it gives you in the trades. But even though he has the Living Artillery available, he's gone for the Phage just for the Orb Walk.
Good pressure there from him. Very nice. Chompers actually uses the ulti for harassment, but does not connect.
Okay, now he doesn't have the kill pressure. Again, you mentioned it correctly. He was just looking to force Deft out of lane because he's taking a lot of pressure and free autos under the turret.
And that's sort of Kog'Maw's thing with the Bio-Arcane Barrage and the Phage can really put pressure on. But TBQ gonna sneak his way into the brush here. Ultimate at the ready. Deft, you better have your finger on the flash button.
Meiko should definitely be starting to position towards the top side of this map. Deft should not be the one getting hit by this ultimate.
He's right in the way of it though, unfortunately. Meiko not even 6 for some additional CC. Clearlove gonna take the Scuttle Crab away, but TBQ stalking his prey in the bottom side. Very patient.
It's interesting, they don't really have a lot of kill pressure because of course they don't have the Super Mega Death Rocket. That would be the burst item they need. They might be waiting for the cooldown, but with a teleport, we're talking about a lot of members.
This wave's coming back as well. Now TBQ gonna wrap around. That's good damage coming through. The ulti gonna look for it, but the flashes come through for Deft. Just missed the ulti, but the knockup coming in. First blood for TBQ as Acorn come down here as well. EDG in a massive CC as Clearlove's gonna dive in. He wants to kill him. Koro with a massive ulti though. Double kill for Nunu with the ultimate. Meiko uses his finally as TBQ gonna fall for a Nunu triple. And Acorn, he's diving under the turret. He's trying to get away. He might get Meiko, but he's too slowed now. Tries to use the smite, doesn't get it, and Clearlove gets a quadra kill.
The quadra kill Nunu, and speaking of kills...
GODV dead in transition now. Pawn gonna look in. Will he go for the dive? Good shield from Orianna, but Pawn, he wants it. He misses the glitter lance, gets ignited, and has to back off.
GODV should live here, but the delayed Penta...
I mean, Clearlove coming in, he might be able to get it, but he is going to dive through. That's maybe too much. Shield comes through. Glitterlance attempted to ride in. Smart stuff, but no dice.
GODV just so confident, understands the ranges, the damage. It's coming
oh, Imp gets it as well with the ulti.
All right, calm down. That was a nice snipe for downhill. Just trying to work out what happened there. 4 kills, but all of them onto Clearlove. What snowball items, pun intended, can this Nunu pick up to make up for his team? Almost you might think, okay, maybe he needs to go for something a bit crazy. Is it just opting into the fast Aegis, or do you go from left field and think about the Zeeks?
Might be Warmogs as well here, to be honest. Clearlove loves his snowball Warmogs. We've talked about how much he loves to tower dive, and there's nothing better to tower dive with than a whole stack of health. There's this dragon being aggressively contested by TBQ and friends.
But, I mean, LGD, they got this from that big snipe, but honestly, from the over-aggression from EDG, looking for a turret dive, instead of just backing away and picking up the free objective, this is the sort of objective-based mistake that EDG almost never makes. And we're going to see the replay of this crazy, crazy fight. So teleports come in. Remember, this is Hecarim getting there first. Gnar teleports in second. Deft falls down for first blood. And you're thinking, okay, this is LGD's fight. The wombo starts. Clearlove saunters in, as is the want for Nunu. But this Gnar against the wall into what was actually just a delayed channel coming through was already a double kill. The triple comes through, and he really wants to fast over this last kill to Koro. Meiko is literally one rampage away from death or an auto attack. Neither comes through. Awkwardly, Clearlove still picks up the kill because the minions, and he was the last one to auto.
Yeah, look, that minions are red buff, but I mean, Koro tried to get it with a hop and couldn't find it, and 1,000 gold EDG go up, but a dragon here as well for LGD means that at this point, to be perfectly honest, we're all even as Koro ultis Acorn just for the harass.
And that's the worrying thing. EDG got the big kill. They team fought well. Free Dragon, well, they got a Nunu. Should have been easy, but no, they went overly aggressive for the turret dive on GODV. First, just the mistake from Pawn. He wasn't able to mechanically hit his Glitter Lance and pick up the kill. Then the dive from Clearlove. There was so much time and space for them to pick up the Dragon. They didn't, and they've been punished.
Yeah, Athene's, though, coming through for Pawn. So, wow, he didn't get a single assist in that last fight either.
He just died.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't do anything, unfortunately, as Koro going to turn it onto Acorn as Imp's rotated here as well, and no tower's dying yet, but LGD going to try and pick on Koro's tower in the top lane.
I mean, speaking of getting picked on, that's just picked on. That's just Imp respecting the trades, the fact that he was losing trades against the Kog'Maw and already opting out of the the bottom lane. They don't have any turrets down, but in this situation, with the fact that Gnar was staying on half health, they're just trying to power down turrets, EDG style.
Clear out the ward, though, as we can see. Deft working on a bottom turret now as well, but Acorn will return himself. Ninja Tabe, Barmy, Cinder, and a Hunter's Machete there with the home guard. Might not make it too bad, but Imp does get the turret in the top lane.
So they pick up the turret, punishing the rotation. Kog'Maw isn't even able to get the turret in bot. It's fallen low. The Hecarim's come to the top lane at just the right time. The harassment continues onto TBQ. The last time we saw Clearlove get a big advantage like this was Game 5 against World Elite on Rek'Sai, where we thought, okay, so far ahead in the early game, is it going to be the Warrior enchant Rek'Sai? But no, it was literally Cinderhulk into stacking Giants and getting super tanky. Honestly, that's his only real option on Nunu. So the one thing you can say, turret dives with the Nunu, looking pretty easy, because he's going to take so many turret hits already.
And that's always been Clearlove's specialty, honestly, all season long, on his Nunu especially, as we look down the items. Deft has picked up his Trinity Force at a very tight clip, just under the 15-minute mark. So look for him to return to the bottom side. Not scared of Imp if he's there, and he should be able to get the turret trade.
There's just so many great ball carriers coming out from LGD. You really worry for the life of that Void Puppy and Kog'Maw. Specifically, Hecarim is an excellent initiation option. Sejuani doesn't always get into actual Shockwave range, but is another decent ball carrier. So they do have multiple options in that case. And Shockwaves, as we said, 6-0, have been super on point from GODV.
Pawn creating good pressure here in the mid lane, though, does spot TBQ and kind of shoos him away with the Glitter Lancers. Meiko and Clearlove down the bottom. They'll just apply some pressure here. They'll dive if they have to, but they just want the turret.
They're definitely applying pressure. Imp's already been zoned from the minion wave for 30 to 40 seconds, respecting the fact that both Nunu and Nautilus were found in transition. Kog'Maw's got the run of this lane, but given the fact that they've got the objective advantage in top, the fact that they're losing maybe 2-3 CS from every minion wave isn't a big issue to LGD.
And Korra going to chase in as well. Is that a frozen mallet Korra's working on?
That's correct.
Well, we've seen it a couple times here, but frozen mallet Nas seems to be the thing. At least Korra and some of the other top laners in the LPL just seem to love it this stage.
Definitely a good laning option against the Hecarim. Remember, Hecarim doesn't take flash, so if you walk up as a Gnar to Hecarim, remember you already have a slow coming through that you can proc through your Hyper and your Q, so you already have CC. You walk up to Hecarim, you auto him as Gnar. If you start hitting your Qs, there's no way for him to get away except for using his ult, and that's a team fight cooldown down. You already build health, you get a bit of AD, so you're not going to get a Hex Drinker and a Frozen Mount. You're just going to rush the Frozen Mount and just deal with the fact that 25 AD is the only offensive stat. But it's really good dueling item. Doesn't give you necessarily the same team fight statistics. You get 700 health, so it's almost a Warmogs in that way. But it's all about the laning power and just making this Hecarim accountable. And they need to. He's been very well kept up in terms of CS.
You can see Deft does get the turret in the bottom side, but Imp will join in with POL and GODV towards the mid turret here, and Pawn took quite a lot of damage actually from the earlier dissonance there. Will clear the wave out, but Imp just face tanking it as Clearlove's forced to come in, and Acorn wrapping around the back, really thinking about a turret dive there.
He's just going full Acorn in this case. He's always in the right spot for these turret dives. Very risky against the Nunu Lulu, because again, we're talking about a high health person and a Lulu who can give you extra health with the wild growth. Mid lane's definitely a party, though. They want to power down this turret.
Yeah, and Korra getting a bit more free time now, up about 20 CS in the top lane there as well, so he's done a good job. And this laning phase gets somewhat extended, which it seems like LGD want to do. Korra's going to be very rewarded by his laning choice.
I just love the levels upon levels on which LGD are thinking. The reason why you saw Acorn around mid, the reason why you see 4 members rotate was simply because Pawn was out of mana. He only had about 100, 150 mana. Even with the Fiends, didn't offer a lot of wave clear, and Pawn accepted the wave clear from this team is actually quite minimal. So using that sort of a gathering of information to actually go for such an aggressive rotation is just really smart play from LGD. There's no downside from what they did. They put themselves in position for a turret, didn't get it, but backed off happily.
And we're going to have a pretty big fight brewing here as well. Imp's just gone back and got his Infinity Edge. Need to see large Rod picked up now for Pawn, who did find a nice window to back away. And Dragon's back in 15 seconds. That was blue buff. Going to be contested. Does not get stolen away, though.
So, EDG just want to show as much pressure as possible because Deft just went back to buy the Belwish Water. Not the massive amount of power, but still relevant to spending that 1,400 gold before the Dragon comes down. So EDG, they have enough members so far with early power spikes to bully out vision control, and that opened up enough space for Deft to recall.
Yep, they do lose vision, actually, of the Dragon to LGD, as EDG have done a fantastic job warding the neutral area, especially towards the bottom side of the map. Dragon is back up. You have to think they've got the control here, and if they're looking to force a fight, as Koro even takes the tower in the top side, they're going to go for this Dragon. You have to think both top laners with the teleports and everybody ready to fight.
And just look at those wards. There's flank wards, there's defensive wards, there's pink wards. everybody's going to get what they're looking for. It's basically the random sampler of warding between these two teams. And you're just waiting for that massive engage from either Koro or Acorn.
Yeah, and I feel like these are some of the junglers and teams that are still actively using double Sightstone as well. You can see in the inventories, both TBQ and Clearlove going for that Sightstone fairly quickly, and we've talked about it for both teams, actually. They love to get aggressive wards down.
I like the fact that you use the word using, because plenty of them are still purchasing, but you watch a team like King who has double Sightstone and no wards on the map, compared to these teams like EDG and LGD. Both teams have flank wards. Both teams have defensive and control vision around objectives. So both Acorn and Koro are empowered to make meaningful decisions about how to engage with teleports. And honestly, if it's a teleport battle, advantage will always go to Acorn.
It will, and EDG have to clear vision out as well because they have no good engage options other than that. If they can force LGD to come to them, that's a good spot. And Dragon might be being aggressive now as LGD, little tentative to step towards the pit, clearing up vision instead.
They have a lot of Dragon damage. I think they just have to respect and seed it in this situation. There's a teleport coming in.
Dragon's dead, but Acorn is coming through. TBQ trying to line it up. Meiko will get the hook in there, and Deft just dishing out the damage. Koro is hopped down as well. Wonderful rage management as everybody flashes away. Deft are going to chase in. Koro does find the Q and gets onto PYL, but the Trumpers will stop Koro. Deft will be stopped as well on the ball. A big no-go zone there as all of LGD get away safely.
Honestly, I think it's a wasted teleport coming through from Acorn. You saw the defensive formation EDG had. Basically 4 tanky members in front of Deft to free hit. There's no way you can engage on that if you're TBQ. So he gets chunked out and the push continues.
Yeah, take the turret in mid. That's actually 3 outers all completed now by EDG as LGD find themselves down a couple turrets and about 2,000 gold.
Just feels like they didn't look for the kind of aggressive teleport we would have expected. The Hecarim went for a more defensive teleport. They weren't in formation to be able to offense, and then EDG, basically with the flying V when it comes to defense, there's no way that Sejuani could have sniped out the Kog'Maw. And if Kog'Maw is free hitting, you're going to die fast if you're the piggy with just health.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing with Sejuani. He does need her items to get tankier as well, and Cinderhawk sure helps a lot. Sightstone even contributing there as well, but just a Glacial Shroud on top of some other small components, maybe not quite enough at this stage. And look at Clearlove on the other side. He's using that gold for exactly what I thought it was going to be. Warmogs ahoy.
Yeah, Warmogs is the build. I'm actually a bit surprised. The Aegis is kind of demanded against the likes of Orianna. Even though it's the solo threat, GODV will find a way to thread the needle on that shockwave. So maybe they're just thinking, get it later and just, again, get ready for the turret dive.
I mean, Sejuani does good magic damage as well, so I agree with the Aegis pick up there wholeheartedly.
And there it is. That's a quick Warmogs.
That is a quick Warmogs, now building in towards the edge. I guess Clearlove just had a little too much gold after his Quadra.
I mean, this is what he did on Rek'Sai's stack health. And look, he doesn't really do a lot of damage, but man, is he annoying on the Nunu.
He is. Just, again, Clearlove loves to dive turrets. Engineered many, many ganks in the LPL regular split, and we're going to do so here again in the final. A thin lead here for EDG at 21.5 minutes, but just thin.
The vision is decent here in terms of defensive vision. It's more neutral vision coming through from LGD. Certainly no sign of the offensive vision that was there around Dragon. It makes sense to some degree. They've lost their outer ring of turrets. It's so much more risky to actually go in and try and get those aggressive wards down. And Meiko, this is why he's one of those rookie supports that's been really touted as the next coming of Chinese support players, and that the warding's so smart. And you have to think, contesting the enemy red and blue buff, the kind of easiest next objective that they can open up is what's going to come in the next few minutes.
I think so as well, and you can see that power spikes are coming through for the rest of EDG. Pawn got his death cap now done with the Athenes at 22 minutes. Blade of the Ruined King just finished there by Deft as well. Koro does have about 1,200 gold to spend, but apart from that, EDG good to go for a mid-game team fight.
The big item for them, to me at least, is Meiko finishing the likes of maybe the cleanse item coming through, just for a bit of defensive utility. Probably needs the Mikhail's Crucible to provide for Deft. The Magic Resist going to do nice duty anyway, because you need that against what's coming through from GODV and TBQ. But with the Ruby Crystal turned into the upgraded Kindle gem, might actually be an Aegis on the support.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, Face of the Mountain as well, I think, is another option for maybe the shield. Not quite the Mikhail's, but another shield there as well. It's certainly not Ella, who pretty much builds Mikhail's first for Crystal every single game.
And PYL's already rushed the Aegis, so there's definitely the same idea coming through from LGD. The magic damage in this situation is mostly going to be the frontline damage from the Lulu, but I mean, Kog'Maw at this point with Blade complete starting to do physical damage, but certainly respectable magic damage. I believe Clearlove did
He did get the blue buff there, I believe. Yep.
We both did the double take.
Yep. And as Prophet Puffer just predicted, no Dragon up, no Baron quite ready yet to be taken. Get your deep vision ang with your outer turrets and take out the buffs.
But that's just the way it works. When you take the outer ring of turrets, what do you have easiest access to? It's warding that red buff. It's warding that blue buff. Much harder to take the inner turrets. Almost impossible to take the inhibitor turrets unless you're way ahead in the game. But just take those little advantages. Keep chipping away, because look, The red buff's on a 5-minute timer. The dragon's on a 6-minute timer. You can time those out, prep for them, and it just adds up. It's gold. It's resources. If you've got 4 buffs on your team, you're going to win a team fight even if the items are fairly neutral.
You can see Deft still farming away, but Imp also getting stronger as well. Actually down by about 30 CS is the Jinx, but Infinity Edge deals perfectly fine items at this stage, despite the fact that Deft kind of been the benefactor of a lot of early golden kills that his team's gotten. Kog'Maw as well, 4 assists with almost equal CS to Acorn, who every single game seems to somehow get CS.
And look, Acorn's almost to his 3-item triumvirate. We always say that the item build to kill an AD carry, it's all about the Trinity Force, Cinder Hulk into the Home Guard boots. 2 of those finished. The other one less than 1,000 gold away, you'd have to think, at this point, just given the amount of CS he's picked up. It's going to be difficult to take out Deft. He's going to be positioned defensively. They've got the Lulu. They've got the Nunu. I mean, even the control ultimate from Nautilus might be irrelevant. But that's his modus operandi. That's his item build, whereas Kog'Maw is just going for that please do not give Imp any resets build. And honestly, Kog'Maw and Nunu, the Gnar and Nunu are so damn tanky that first skill, if they position effectively like we just saw in that dragon pickup, how do you ever get a reset when there's like 4,000 health already?
I don't know. I mean, it's a good frontline for EDG, but it is reactive. That's the issue. But they are playing proactively right now. They have a lead that they can kind of run with and dragging back up in 40 seconds. EDG, I'm not going to say comfortable just yet, but they do have a lead in the game.
They'll be comfortable when they start to sweep out this vision. We see double flank wars, 1 on the enemy red, 1 on the golems there, or the Krugs, sorry, and also vision around the dragon. So there's a lot of flank wards available, and Trinity Force has to be so close and coming through from the flank. EDG have to know. They're starting to clear the wards, though, which is important for them, but they need to neutralize that vision in the next 15 seconds. And again, fights on their terms, EDG will look great. Fights where either Hecarim gets a huge flank or EDG are forced to go in aggressively, much worse.
5 seconds left to the dragon now as well. Acorn looking to go back close to his Trinity Force when I last checked. Might just have the Zeal at this stage. Sells an item, might have enough, but EDG, they're already on top of the dragon, and Randuin's almost completed for Corey there as well. Dragon damage far too high as Acorn is trying to find a way, and he does have his Trinity Force. Kog'Maw finds a massive ulti onto Imp and TBQ. Meiko comes in with a Deft charge, but Deft just killing Acorn. He's not tanky enough. Ulti's over the corner trying to get in, but Deft going to waddle his way back around. Clearlove zones him out with a massive ult. He's so big with the wild grip, but GODV nails it. A shockwave there. Kog'Maw going to go down. That's the first reset, but Sejuani will fall instead. Everyone's so low. Imp so close to another kill as well, but a 2-for-1 trade here. EDG just ahead.
Yeah, but LGD's completely outfoxed EDG. You saw Deft actually had a bit of tunnel vision onto Acorn. Acorn just used that onslaught of shadows over the wall, re-engage, and Deft couldn't do any damage. He's lost his Biocane barrage. That loss in damage, he's the big consistent damage dealer. That's the one time their positioning really let them down, so they got the good position around the second dragon. This third dragon, though, the second for LGD, will be uncontested.
It belongs to them here. Imp and GODV, even without a smite, both Acorn and TBQ absent for the smite battle. Doesn't matter. There's too much damage coming through from the Phantom Dancer, Infinity Edge, Jinx, and Acorn. It wasn't the big super flank kill the Deft teleport that we expected, but an effective flank nonetheless.
And that's the funny thing, is that Acorn drew enough aggro that he split Deft from the targets. Even with that massive Gnar onto Imp, there was no damage there to take him down. And again, just outfoxed him with the Onslaught of Shadows over the wall. So whether it must be a communication-related thing from EDG, because the AD carry, the crown jewel of the comp, going one way and the other 4 members going aggressively on the backline with all summoners available, that's not how you win a fight if you're EDG with such low initiate.
And EDG now equalizing that gold pretty much back up there for LGD. Only 800 gold ahead or so. Edward Gaming now getting vision around the Baron. We know that EDG loves to do Baron at about 25 minutes in, but this game in general has been a lot slower paced because honestly against opposition like LGD, you do have to slow down.
Remember, the point we mentioned earlier, that only wave clear on this EDG side is Pawn. So Pawn getting picked off, remember, he does like to position quite aggressively, has been prone to being solo killed in lane and both caught around the team comps. He is the only true wave clear of this comp. Will need to play more defensively than he's probably used to on the likes of Lulu. And when Sieges come out, LGD has so many different options that if they ever pick up a Baron, that Siege is going to be so hard for EDG to disrupt.
Yeah, checking in on the mid laners actually. You can see GODV has his Blasting One plus the Rabadons and the Athene, so working towards a Void Stuff. Pawn, on the other hand, with his Aether Whip's going to go in towards a Lich Bane for the slightly more aggressive carry-oriented option. Imp, Pickaxe done their same for Deft, so they're both working on their last Whisper, it looks like, and they're trying to steal another blue away, and Clearlove to be able to take it, but if they can get it, no, denied again from Orianna.
Denying blue is actually even more important than usual. You might think, okay, Orianna's a mana dependent champion, Athene's comes through as buffed, you might think, okay, maybe Ori doesn't need the blue as much. But because everyone's so tanky on EDG, that first rotation of spells, the Shockwave Burst, is going to be just a bit more of a scratch, to be honest. You're going to need multiple rotations of spells. You're going to fall low in mana, whatever you do if you're GODV in this game. So blue buff is critical.
A Clearlove caught, but fairly tanky, so probably doesn't mind too much. Maybe now with Acorn there as well. Actually just channels the ulti right on top of them. Takes a decent amount of burst damage with Acorn coming in. Massive Sejuani are going to catch them. Meiko gets melted and Imp. He's so excited. Koro, massive Gnar ultimate stuns 4, then 3 people with the wallop. But Deft can't get in range to do damage, and Imp gets another kill.
It's a huge pick, 29 minutes, and that's probably going to be Baron coming to LGD. Remember, GODV wasn't even there in the whole engage. Shockwave is still a threat as Pawn and Deft are trying to contest for this dragon.
I mean, it's 2v5 right now. This would be a heroic contest for EDG, and no real way to steal it. Double smites available for LGD, and they claim the Baron.
And the vision advantage, just being able to pick up the Nunu in that situation and take him down, has undone a lot of what EDG wants to do. We mentioned that a significant win condition, as is always the case, is amplified in this game for LGD. They pick up Baron. Suddenly, with strong wave clear, it's still going to be a struggle for Lulu to take down these Baron buff minions. And the push, the siege is so good for LGD because they have offensive options with the likes of the Onslaught of Shadows, with the likes of the Glacial Prison. They're able to kite back very well with the Janna. They look great going offensively and defensively. EDG only really siege well. They don't defend sieges particularly well. So they might have to watch as important structure after important structure is felled during this Baron buff timer.
I mean, importantly, LGD only with the 2 towers taken. EDG, of course, took the 3 quite a while ago, but LGD going to start knocking down some structures for some standing gold. And Lichbane not quite there for Pawn. They need to stick together, and if LGD split up, should be pretty tricky, like you've already highlighted, for EDG to clear these waves.
I think it's just not respecting the vision. EDG always have great vision, but in this case, they've been outfoxed just because they've had aggressive and defensive vision coming out from LGD. The double Sightstone has been so smartly used. TBQ, we might rag on his fighter play, but his knowledge of where wards need to go and the communication between these LGD members, the one thing you can say, the communication that we have to speculate to some degree, but seems to have definitely been on for LGD and a bit scattered from EDG.
I mean, Clearlove just should not have been there. I guess felt pretty confident with the Warmox, had about 4,000 health. Now it was a Spirit Visage to make him even tankier, but got caught in a situation where it looked almost impossible for Nunu to get caught, and as a result, EDG lost the team fight and the subsequent Baron Dragon. He's back up in a couple of minutes, but look at him, already going to take out the first of many turrets.
As you mentioned, this is the free gold, very easy for them to pick up. No answering coming through from EDG. They just have to react to these rotations. Only Gnar in bottom lane. Gnar in mini Gnar form has basically no range wave clear. Needs the Mega Gnar Boulder Toss to come through to have any semblance of hope to wave clear. And you can see multiple members coming through to make this a very safe siege for LGD.
Koro going to get poked off here as all the Baron up minions are so hard for them to take out. Deft crucially does have his last whisper now, and Pawn does have a last whisper, but Acorn always in the right place at the right time, going to take out a turret himself.
It's not good options. Hecarim's got such strong sidewave push with the Baron buff and of course the Trinity Force. He's just smashing down turrets himself, and EDG are losing the maximum. This is still with over a quarter of Baron duration.
They're going to go in again. Imp here free hitting there with the Orianna shields. Feels so confident with all this peel for him as well. Doesn't even bother using the rockets for the most part, just gets in minigun form and takes out another turret.
And what are EDG to do? Their initiates just aren't really initiation options. Clearlove is annoying. He gets in the front, but doesn't have any hard CC to keep members around. Nautilus is just a peel, but it's not jungle Nautilus who can disregard multiple members and ult the AD carry. In this case, it's going to be just trying to peel for Kog'Maw, and they just have no other initiation options behind the picture-perfect ultimate for Koro. And with all these wards, look at this red side jungle, littered with wards by LGD. They're just never going to be that flank from Koro.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of cleaning work there for EDG to get all the wards out of their jungle, and they're trying here. Dragon actually back in 10 seconds, and LGD not quite in the area. Acorn does have his teleport, and he's scarily strong at this stage of the game, so EDG might try to rush down the Dragon, but it's a little risky.
It's going to be a Frozen Heart finished for Hecarim, you have to think, if he backs, but no pings onto the enemy blue buffs. They're looking to take that over the Dragon, and EDG, understandably, hard to make any assertive moves after being soundly beaten for the past 5 to 6 minutes.
I mean, LGD do the right thing, go down to the Dragon and make sure EDG can't have it. No, actually, they are going to go in. They've not taking the Scuttle Crab either, so this is fairly all in. The Scrying will see them. Clearlove should be able to get it and does. That might force a fight. TBQ getting grabbed by Meiko. Koro in the backline trying to find the Gnar ulti, but Acorn coming in. Meiko on Pawn gets shockwave there, and now Acorn diving in onto Deft. He's so low. Acorn uses his ulti and takes out Kog'Maw. Koro still fighting onto Gnar, but Pawn can't do enough damage. He goes down to Imp and Imp. Gonna have a field day now. Meiko gets killed by Acorn. That's the 4th kill there as Hecarim gets the double and Jinx takes her own. Clearlove forced a flash away, and GODV the only kill for 4 deaths on EDG's side.
There's just no backline threat coming through from EDG. They can't get onto the Jinx. Through all the shields, she's just so effectively tanky. Lives on full health, and they power down the base.
Yep, turret going to go down. Inhibitor looking to fall here as well. And LGD with their Jinx might just be able to win the game here.
There's not only so much Nunu can do. The Ice Blast will delay things, but 5 seconds to Deft. Maybe this is too aggressive, but they're going to get most of this base.
They use the heal. They're going to try and get it. Clearlove doing what he can to try and stall Imp, but there's too much here. LGD are going to take the first Nexus, it looks like, and they do get it, going 1-0 up on EDG.
What a win from LGD. It was looking like an EDG game. How many times will we send them rotate smartly? Took that answering dragon with aplomb, but suddenly Deft, with poor target selection, getting baited to the side and Acorn reinitiating, lost them a fight. And then Clearlove went from a walk, even as a 4,000 health Nunu got caught. And honestly, with their lack of initiate, they could not afford to make any of those auto mistakes. Execution heavy is what ADG picked for. Execution good for about half the game, but swiftly was completely answered in the second half by LGD.
You can see Koro there, kind of flabbergasted, and I don't blame him. He's thinking to himself, how did my undefeated Gnar finally lose a game? And GODV's Orianna, at least for now, will stay undefeated.
They just made mistakes that aren't characteristic of EDG. It was a well-deserved win for LGD. They picked the comp that worked best going forward with pick power, but also had excellent neutral control and excellent siege. Honestly, LG's comp did a bit of everything. EDG, they could have picked anything. They picked the Lulu blind. They left the Orianna up. Don't know how many times you can make that mistake if you want to win.
Well, we'll have to see, but LGD do go up a game here in our best of 5, but don't go too far away.